Hey there, it's January 23rd. What I want to do today is talk about our tomato sauce. So here we have, I want to talk about cost and all sorts of different things. Now, keep in mind, this is what we're making, so keep in mind I'm probably not factoring in all the variables, I'm probably not, most of the numbers are pretty accurate. Nevertheless, I just want to talk about how much it costs me to put tomatoes in this jar, how much it costs me to do that, and then what I get from it. So if you come to the Brickworks Farmers Market, I'm selling these. It's 1 liter. It's just tomatoes. Sometimes I put a little leaf of basil on top. But even if one year I did have it spiced and it was all the same price. So, because it's hard to charge, there's a certain amount that people will buy. Like, no one's going to buy this for $30. No one's going to buy it for $50. So $10 is kind of what we've kind of come up with. I'd love to charge way less. I'd actually prefer to give it away for free, but that's another thing I take into. Once we get all through this, one of the reasons why I do this is because I love to give. I love to see people smile, and what's one better way to see people smile than to have some food? So, more so for less privileged people, I guess. More privileged people, we would possibly just not even want it in the first place. So it's $10 for one liter jar. So this is what you get. Oh jeez, I still need a marker. Okay, so I found my marker. So what we're going to talk about now, I guess, is so what is the value of what I do? Depending on how you want to look at it. You get a bushel of tomatoes from any old place, you've never met them, which is what most people have. It's pretty darn cheap. You can make your own tomato sauce, or you can buy it very cheaply from the grocery store. So the value that we have is I'm a biodynamic farmer. Been doing this since 2006, and I've always focused on the soil. So how do you make good soil? Is with happy cows. So that's what I've been focusing on since I've been here. So happy cows mean happy soil mean happy plants mean happy everything that can benefit from those plants that live in our realm, which is people that breathe and walk on the earth and stuff like that. So, and of course you have a dedicated shepherd or farmer. That's myself. Now, one thing that cuts costs is just having me do everything for free. Now, I'm willing to do that because I love seeing people smile. If anyone knows me and the marble machine, the only reason why I build the marble machine is to see people smile. Anyway, so what we got here, so what we'll be doing is going on, we'll start from the soil. So we have generally, and it's just paste tomatoes. So I grow lots and lots of tomatoes. So I grow cherry tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes, just plain table tomatoes, and of course paste tomatoes. So paste tomatoes is what we're going to talk about here. So I usually get 700 to 800 tomato plants. That's how many I grow. Let's just write plants. And but in this case, let's just do 700. So we're only doing 700 this year. I think, this 2019 is more or less what I'm talking about here. Each plant produces 10 to 20 fruit per plant. We're just putting this on numbers. This is what our certifiers always want us to do, like seed, because we always record how many seeds we buy and where we get them from and all these different things. So this is all stuff that I've found over the years and kind of things that you might want to think about. So each seed a seed package. So in this case, just the paste tomatoes, which are usually pretty expensive because paste tomatoes generally are grown to have less seed and more meat. So you usually end up having, it's a little more difficult to get more tomato seeds. So they generally are more expensive. So for 700 seeds, how did I forget how I worked it. It was like $85 a pack, but then it ends up being $255 for 700 seeds. Now, the second thing, one thing you have to put into when you're growing is seed or the soil cost. So a lot of people end up having to buy their own soil mixes. I don't have to buy that, but we'll put that into the equation anyways, because for some people that do have to buy their own soil. So I make my own soil. The cows obviously produce a lot of organic matter, manure, and compost. So I'm always a composter. I'm always getting waste and composting it, so I make my own soil. So this doesn't cost me anything. So just one bale, so I'm talking they're square bales of potting mix you can buy. They're generally $30. $30 per bale soil mix. And so I would possibly need 3 bales, so that's $90. So 3 bales. So that's just our cost for when we're thinking, okay, this year I'm gonna grow some plants. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at the baseline. So we're gonna erase this, and then so that's from the soil. So I'm already, oh boy, this is terrible. Okay. So beyond that, so we're just talking labor. So now we've just got all our seeds, we got our soil, and I'm not talking about flats and stuff like that. So you have to buy your flats; those are usually pretty expensive. But I already have all that invested, and I already got all those things, and all my soil making equipment and my greenhouse and all that stuff. That's already there. And so now we're going to talk about labor. And since I do most of this myself and I do it for free, this isn't, I guess you could consider it all free, or I would prefer to say that I do have a value to myself and me being here. So let's break that down. So we do planting it into flats, so the initial part. So in my case, it would actually take me a little while longer because I have to make my own soil. I guess some people would end up having to drive out, cost of gas to get soil, bring it back. So those numbers can be a little different. But in this case, we're planting into the flats. And I think if I work for minimum wage, so we go at $15 per hour, and to plant all that, the 700. So I generally spend all day in there just plant. But in this case, we're just talking about just the paste tomatoes. That's 700 plants. It'd take me about 4 hours to do that. So that'd be about $60. $60 for planting them into flats. Now we have daily watering. Depending on the temperature, sometimes you water twice a day. In this case, I'm just going to do 1 hour a day. Daily watering at 1 hour per day. It actually goes for 4 months. So we plant them in March, April, May, June. So we plant usually late June. So 4 months. That's 120 hours. sorry this is taking so long, and I'm definitely not good at these things. I just want to let everyone know about them. So at 120 hours, so that equals $1,800. That's just for watering. And plus there's also the hydro to get the water out of the ground, and then beyond that. So, and then of course the next thing after all this watering and stuff, in June we will be transplanting them. We'll be transplanting them into the garden. Now if I got a really good team, I could probably, so 3 people for 4 hours at $15 per hour. What did I work that out to? That's $180. That's just to plant them. And then of course there's I'm not even considering this weeding, and then maintaining, and I do also do some herbal sprays to bring up health and stuff like that. So I'm not even considering all that. That would be a whole nother, say, $180, but let's leave that out for now. So, and then it's harvesting. And harvesting goes for about, each time it's about 4 hours. We go out twice a week, so 4 hours a week per week. For up to 6 weeks. So for up to 6 weeks, so we'll just do 6 weeks. Can take less can take more depending on the weather. Equals 24 hours times 3 people. The same thing. $1,800 just for harvesting. Now, I would assume it'd be a little more than that, because usually it is, but and of course now for me again, technically, do I consider myself an employee, or do I just do it all for free? So that's just the planting stuff. So as I'm harvesting things, I can't be in 2 places at once. I would love to make the sauce, but in the summertime I'm everywhere. So I'll be cooking or something. So anyways, I've been hiring a chef to come and do this for me, and she's been great, and she's worked for $15 an hour. So she worked 2 days a week. This is kitchen labor. So this is just the kitchen work. 2 days a week for a week. For 6 weeks. $8 hours a day. She would work hard, man. She's a good worker, man. She made some good sauce too. 8-hour days. Equals 96 hours at 15. Equals $1,440. So just these numbers alone, that's just labor and me putting them in the ground and getting them out and putting them in sauce for you. Keep in mind, I'm a small farm. I don't get subsidized, and I'm not doing this to make a business out of making sauce. So this is just something that I want to do because I like seeing people eat and have good food. So that's just the labor. And beyond that, we talk about just cost in supplies. Now, like I said, we're not considering the flats or the tools that I use to plant all these things. I already have all those stuff. And like I say, I don't mind doing this stuff for free, but the people that work here, that work for me, and yeah, they all want money. They all need to be able to pay their bills and stuff. I don't care about myself paying my bills. I don't mind not having as much food as I want, but whatever. So, man, this thing's terrible. So, what we're going to talk about now is just the jar itself. So the jar, each jar. So in 2019, let's just write 2019. In 2019, we made 305 1-liter jars of tomato sauce. So, and of course I sold all those at $10, or, so each, let's just break it down this way. So each jar cost, one jar equals, oops, $1.10. That's a 1. Okay. So each one was $1.10 times, oops, I'm doing this wrong. Like I say, I'm not good at math, so I'm not good at explaining things, that's for sure. So that's how much it costs per jar, and then we also got 3 packs of labels that each has 120 labels. For 1 pack is $30. So, and that's just for the top. We're just buying one tiny little label for the top. We could go all out and buy more labels for the sides, but we're not doing that. I'm not interested in getting the health label. That costs way more money. It's just tomatoes. I mean, we can all go on our computers and get all that information if we wanted to. It would cost me way too much, plus I'm only doing 305 jars a year. It's not a whole lot. It's not worth me paying a crazy amount of money to get those labels. So I'm not going to do that. And I bought 3 packs, that's $90. So $90, so yeah, what we'll do is this times 305. That ended up being it was 335.50, and then plus another 90, which is 425.50. So that's what it cost me, $425 to make 305 jars of tomato sauce. So, I guess the big question is, why do I do it? Why do I, do this? Just like every farmer, there's a lot of things that we do just to be there and just to be doing what we're doing. The earth needs shepherds, and animals need people to help them, and earth needs to grow, and a lot of plants do depend on our interaction with them. So I'm honored to take part in that. So much like these spoons. Spoon is a symbol of love. I make these spoons every year and I sell them at the market. This is oak wood, and it's got my little label on it. So on average it'd take me about, if I was really whipping these off pretty good, it'd be 6 hours per spoon. That's 6 hours per spoon, that's 100, for $15 an hour, it's $100 for this spoon. I charge $20 for a spoon, which is way too expensive if we consider how easily we can get something made from China, from a communist country that doesn't mind slave labor. You can get to one of these spoons, or a spoon like this, for a couple bucks. So perhaps I'm charging too much for this, but I really put all my effort into knowing and thinking when I'm doing things. Even when I'm doing all these things, I think when I grab a tomato, I think, oh, someone's really gonna like this. Oh, that person's really gonna like these. Oh, these guys, I know these guys really like. So in my head, I'm thinking about all you guys and thinking, oh, those guys are really gonna love this stuff. And oh man, someone really needs to feed themselves. So here's a spoon. And unfortunately, yes, I'm charging a lot of money for them, but I would give it to you if I knew that I could be happy and live a happy, healthy life. Anyway, so I just wanted to break that down. Thanks for your time, and take care.